Welcome to our third talk here at Bakersfield Behavioral Healthcare Hospital. My name is Greg Yaisley. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist. Today we're going to be talking about behavior modification in your family environment, what it means for modifying behaviors. For purpose of this talk today, we'll focus on what makes us change behaviors, how can we look at it simply, and what gets in the way of change, as well as how can we make it lasting change. So what makes us change our behaviors? Change is the ingredients that actually fosters change. So you've heard the expression, things change. Well, things do change. Things like time, age, relationships, our bodies, finances, our living arrangements and locations, and sometimes our daily activities all change. Even problems change. We say in the behavioral health business, it's either a darn different problem all the time or it's the same darn problem all the time that determines whether or not you need assistance from others. Examples might be things like major depressive disorder. Over time, it changes very slowly, but it sort of seems to be the same darn problem all the time. You might be experiencing bills. Of course, everybody's needing to pay different bills, and those bills all look like they're different every month to month. So those are different kinds of things, different kinds of problems. Children's behaviors, are they the same problems all the time, or are they a different problem all the time? So what we want to be able to do is really ask that question, what makes us change behaviors? Well, it's inevitable. So how can we look at it simply? Often what we do when we're looking at analyzing behaviors is we're looking at what happened before the behavior, what happened during the behavior, and what happens afterwards, or what are the consequences afterwards. In therapy language, we call these the ABCs of behavior. But what about motivation? Where does it come from? There's two simple ideas that I like to think about, or two simple types of motivation. One is internal motivation. There are three elements that motivate us. Now remember, I'm stating this simply, so there may be many reasons for motivation, but simply put, it is avoidance of pain, or finding a resting place from pain, right? Or in a sense, it might be eternal or internal elation. This can be momentary happiness or lasting joy. What is important to remember are the things that change, like age. What you wanted at age 6 is not the same as what you wanted at age 26 or what you wanted at age 46. But herein lies the hook, in that it is internal. Only you knew then, and even today, you know now what you want that makes you happy or elated. Sometimes it's simply something simple as a payday or that snack in the pantry. But you know what it is that motivates you, and this is how we can affect change in ourselves by listening to this internal motivation. If it is the avoidance of pain, there are consequences for that. So what do the consequences look like? Secondly, there's external motivation. These are the consequences of the same darn problem or a darn different problem. Often these consequences move us to do something either the same or differently. Like an alarm, we take notice, or in this pandemic, we stand still and shelter in place. They are outside of our control, and we are more or less reacting or responding in immediacy, either before the behavior or as a consequences of the behavior. So what gets in the way of change? Often it is in our stuckness, or even simply put, procrastination, in habits that get in the way. Like, imagine you're sitting in a chair and you are eating your favorite snack. Each time that you take a snack, the bowl of those snacks moves further away and further away as you take the next one, and so on. How long will it be before you actually get tired of chasing that? So that that motivation eventually determine that the next snack that is not worth the effort and you stop, or you find a different solution. So what are some ideas behind procrastination? Procrastination has many causes, some of which are an acceptance of another person's goal, for instance. If it's not yours, it's not likely to be important to you. Perfectionism. Afraid to start something for fear it will not turn out perfectly. Anxiety over what other people might think. Afraid others will think less of you when they see your finished product. Fear of the unknown. You're afraid to try something you never did before. Think you do not have the skills in order to do these things. You know, if you're thinking that, all of those might be simply fear-based issues. Ambiguity, right? The fear of being seen as maybe not worthy enough, or maybe even incompetent. And you might want to seek some clarification on that. Tasks look too big, so you don't even bother to start. So you might also be suffering from low tolerance or low frustration levels for unpleasant tasks. These can be all things that lead to procrastination. But we do know that fear comes before that. So those are the things that get in the way of behaviors that we want to maybe change. How can we make it lasting change? Well, it's important to understand that with change comes risk. And there's some characteristics of risk that I think are important for us to be noting, at least at this time. Trust is a huge issue. The less we trust the people that are around us that are supposed to protect us, the people, even the government or corporations, they expose us to risk in the first place, or that people communicate to us about the risk and we are more afraid. And the more we trust, however, the less fear we feel. Dread can be one of those things that evokes fear more than anything else, right? So what is worse than, say, being, I don't know, eaten alive by a shark, right? Might be that heart attacks are even to be feared, but we're more afraid of being eaten by a shark than having a heart attack, though heart attacks kill more people than sharks ever did. And so it's important to know that whether that behavior that we want to do, we dread. Secondly, it may be something about an issue of control. Do you feel pretty safe when you drive? Well, most people do feel safe because they feel like they're in control. However, we do know that about 30,000 Americans a year die on traffic accidents, and that gives us the illusion that we're in control. At least if we feel like we're in control, we might think about actually doing that behavior. Now, what about choice? A risk we choose seems less dangerous than a risk that is imposed on us. This explains why, the idea that labeling certain ingredients in food may give us a degree of fear. However, if the information is there and we feel that we have the choice, that we might actually engage in eating those kinds of things. What about children? Survival of the species depends on survival of our progeny. It is not surprising then that research has found that a risk to children, such as mercury traces in fish, may seem dramatic, although it is, in fact, extraordinarily low. Uncertainty of the behavior. The more uncertain we are, the more we protect ourselves with precaution and fear. What about novelty? So even in this moment in the pandemic, it's such a novelty that it tends to be more frightening until we have lived with it for a while and our experience has helped us to gain what the actual risks might be and put it into perspective. What about awareness? The more we are aware of a risk, the more we are likely to be concerned about it. We're concerned about child abductions, things like that. It's always been sort of in the press before all this stuff. It may be same idea, but it's what do we do with that after it is resolved? Can it happen to me? Any risk seems larger if you think you or someone you care about could be a victim. This helps to explain why statistic probabilities is often an ineffective form of risk communication. A risk of 1 in 1 million can still seem threatening if you think you could be the one. So this helps explain often why everybody is accepting a risk of 0, and that's our goal. If I have no risk, then I'll do it. But we need to be able to understand it can't happen to us. So when we look at all of these different risks, we understand, like, how can we make this lasting? First of all, we also need to be able to understand that lasting motivational factors Any behavior you want to achieve requires two things to be true. So first thing that it requires is that it's not too hard and not too easy. What do I mean by that? If you attempt to do something that's so difficult, you won't do it very long. If it's too easy, you'll get bored really quickly. So you need to have that specific balance of a task that's challenging but doable. Secondly, you have to want the reward that comes with it. The reward can be immediate, or it can come with secondary gains, like getting that secret snack that you like. And as you get further and further away and you're chasing after it, and you notice all of a sudden you've been walking to get this snack each time, it makes you more and more athletic. It might make you feel more energized, even more hungry. These secondary gains can become the new goal to lasting behaviors. Looking at the positive side of staying home, you have a chance to begin to list for yourself and your family many secondary gains. Stay strong. May you wake up each day with a new problem to overcome. And if you don't, you can always call us here at BBHH to get rid of that everyday same darn problem that keeps letting you down. Stay safe, stay home, and remember we are alone together. Take care.